Many people are injured or even killed in car accidents. A lot of these people wouldn't have been hurt as badly or killed if they would have just been wearing their seatbelts. A seatbelt is a belt or strap that is fastened around or is a shoulder harness which is diagonally across a person's midsection to secure them to their seat. As you can see, it goes across the body if there was someone sitting there. Most seatbelts will lock when the car comes to a sudden stop to prevent the passenger from going forward and hitting the dash or windshield. The people in the back seat should also wear their seatbelts because they have just as good a chance of being hurt in a crash as people in the front seat. Seatbelts can save lives and prevent major illness, injuries, in a T-bone collision and head-on collisions and rollovers. A T-bone collision is when one vehicle hits another vehicle on the side, as you can see here in the background. This can do a great amount of damage to the side of the vehicle, as shown here in these two pictures. If there is a person sitting on the side of the car that is T-boned, wearing a seatbelt will greatly increase their chance of survival depending on the angle they were hit. A straight-on hit to the side of the car would probably severely injure the person on the side of the collision regardless if they are wearing a seatbelt or not. However, a seatbelt would hold them in place enough to prevent them from hitting the side window or the person sitting in the seat beside them. The driver of the car which hits the side of the car can be launched forward into the windshield. According to the author Paul Collin, the main cause of death in a car crash is not the initial impact, but the secondary collision of an unbelted occupant with the windshield, dashboard, or steering wheel of their own vehicles. The seatbelt won't allow this to happen. In some instances, if the person is sitting opposite the side of the impact, they can be thrown from the vehicle through the side window. The chance of a person surviving a crash is much greater if they stay within the vehicle. If the person is thrown from the vehicle, they can be cut by the window they got thrown, or the collision with the ground can be fatal. A seatbelt will keep the person in their seat. They can help in a lot of different car crashes. Head-on collisions are another incident where seatbelts can save lives. A head-on collision is when a car hits straight on with something. It can be another vehicle, like shown in this picture, two cars hitting straight on, a light pole, a building, or many other objects. Almost half of vehicle accidents and 51% of crash deaths involve only one car or truck rather than a multi-car collision. That is one vehicle hitting a tree, a telephone, or a building, as shown in these. Hitting a tree and then hitting a building over in the right picture. When a vehicle collides with something solid, such as a building, the vehicle comes to an almost instantaneous stop. Everything inside the vehicle will continue to move at the same speed. Nothing will stop until each thing hits something to stop the objects in the vehicle. As a rider in the car, the windshield, dash, or front seat isn't what you want to stop you. A seatbelt will keep the rider fastened to his or her seat and keep them from being launched forward. Hitting something at a high enough speed can launch the driver or person into the passenger straight in front of them, through a windshield if they weren't wearing a seatbelt. People sitting into the back seat also need to be wearing their seatbelts, or they can hurt themselves or the people in the vehicle. A person sitting in the back seat can be launched forward and hit the person in front of them. This impact can break the driver's or passenger's neck in front of them. Seatbelts should be worn at all times because they can prevent a loss of life, even in a rollover. Rollovers are often fatal. According to the study published in the American Journal of Public Health, since some 8,000 motor vehicle occupants die in the United States in rollovers each year. Most of these could be prevented by wearing a seatbelt. A vehicle can roll for a variety of different reasons: taking a turn too fast, swerving to miss something on the road, or bad road conditions, such as ice, are some of the causes of people rolling their vehicle. The most fatal rollovers happen when an occupant in the vehicle is ejected out. A lot of times if the person is ejected, they will be thrown in the direction the vehicle is rolling. When they are thrown out, the vehicle will often land on or roll over them. If the rider isn't ejected from the vehicle, they can still bounce around the inside of the car. They could possibly start in the front and end up in the back seat. This can cause major injuries and most commonly concussions. If the rider wears a seatbelt, they won't have to worry about being ejected or bounced around the inside of their vehicle. Rollovers are very deadly if not wearing a seatbelt. Deaths and major injuries in T-bone collisions, head-on collisions, and wars can be easily avoided by simply wearing a seatbelt. This driver was thrown from their vehicle in a head-on collision inside a city. They did not survive the crash with the impact of the ground. Seatbelts save lives in every kind of car accident. They keep the rider of the car in place and secured in their seat. This prevents them from being thrown from the vehicle. It also will stop them from hitting the windshield or the dash or from bouncing around inside the vehicle in a rollover. It doesn't matter if the person is in the front, middle, or back seat. A seatbelt is important in every seat because a rider can be killed or severely injured no matter where they are sitting inside the vehicle. Wear a seatbelt because they save lives. It's that easy. I got my sources for this essay from an article in New Science called How to Survive a Crash, an article in Forbes called Car Wreck Regulars, and from exposure study in American Journal of Public Health called Motor Vehicle Rollover and Static Stability.